Hey guys, Boston25 here, watching launch of Göktürk-1 from the Guyana Space Center.
This is the English sound.
Oh, never mind, it hasn't started yet. I'll pause the video and I'll see you guys once the broadcast actually begins. Oh, never mind, sure, let's just watch some launches, just because why not? So use in this case.
This is the English soundtrack from the Guyana Space Center in Kourou.
And next is going to be Vega, which is what we're going to see today. Göktürk-1, if I pronounced that correctly. But yeah, Vega goes off like a shot compared to some other rockets, because it's relatively light. Still weighs I think 100 tons, but in terms of launch vehicles, that's relatively light.
English soundtrack.
So pause the video here and I'll see you guys once the broadcast begins. Okay guys, we're about 20 seconds away from the beginning of the broadcast of the launch of Göktürk-1, which is of course a Turkish satellite. You should probably have been able to figure that out just purely by name. And the webcast is about to begin in 5 seconds. So for now, we'll just sit back and, to quote Stefan Israel, enjoys the show. Oh hey, this is a new intro. I'm excited! Aha!
1, 2, 1, top, allumage, et décollage.
New intro. Ariana Space, I like this. So yeah, Vega. I wonder if this was using the Ariane 5 launch. Yeah, there she goes. Off like that. Hot. I'm not gonna say off like a rocket because, you know, it is a rocket. Vega. Göktürk-1. I think I said that correctly. I probably did not. Alright, so flight VV0, that means it's the 8th flight of Vega.
Hello and welcome. We are live at the launch pad
hey,
here
that's the
at
first
the
time I've ever seen a
Guyana
picture
Space
of it.
Center for the 10th launch this year. We are just over 19 minutes to launch. First of all, let's hear from Stefan Israel. Stefan is the chairman and the CEO of Ariane Space, and Stefan is going to tell us a little bit more about today's mission. Over to you, Stefan.
Thanks, Cathy. So, mesdames et messieurs, dear customers, dear partners, ladies and gentlemen, Ariane Space is delighted to welcome you at the CSG in the Jupiter room for this new Vega mission, the second of the year with Vega. We are going to launch the Earth observation satellite Göktürk-1 for our customer Telespazio on behalf of the Undersecretariat for Defense Industries of Turkey. Thales Alenia Space, as you know, and its Turkish partners built the satellite based on the Proteus spacecraft platform. As you can see on the control screen behind me, Vega is on the launch pad. The mobile gantry was removed successfully 3 hours ago. All the operations of the final countdown went smoothly, so we should be in a position to launch in a few minutes at exactly 10, 51 and 44 seconds a.m.
It's going to be a
following liftoff. Vega will head towards the north to separate the satellite on a sun-synchronized orbit, inclined at 98 degrees with respect to the equatorial plane, and at an altitude of 700 kilometers. Göktürk-1 will separate 50 minutes after liftoff. The first satellite acquisition should come 12 minutes after separation. So, our launch is now just a few minutes away. Go Vega, go Göktürk-1, and of course, enjoy the show. Thank you very much.
Okay then, Stefan, let's do this.
Thank you very much indeed. Stefan Israel, ladies and gentlemen, the chairman and CEO of Ariane Space. So, our program is coming to you today in both French and in English, so you can tune into the French channel for our French speakers. And of course, you can find us on www.arianespace.com.
That's where I am.
So, here we are at the Guyana Space Center, and the base here is on the northeastern tip of the Amazon rainforest, northeastern tip of South America. We're right on the equator here. And we have a family of 3 launchers. Vega is one of those. We see it there on the pad. The biggest one is, of course, Ariane 5. You know her well. And the next one is Soyuz. And the baby of the family is Vega, the launcher that we are using today.
It's small,
and this is actually Vega's 8th launch. This 8th launch in total, actually.
Yeah,
so let's find out a little bit more about it. It stands at 30 meters high. That's about the same height as one of the boosters on an Ariane 5.
So why don't you just use an Ariane 5
it weighs 139 tons. That's roughly a third of the weight of its big sister, Ariane 5. Today we are carrying a payload of 1 ton. It's our Göktürk-1 satellite.
Sort of at about
there it is,
max.
inside what we call the fairing of the launcher, the fairing being that pointy section in the nose. And Göktürk-1 is an Earth observation satellite. Interestingly, Vega is particularly suited to launching Earth observation satellites into low Earth orbit. That's the orbit that's closest to our Earth. And in fact, today is the 5th Earth observation satellite that Vega will be launching. It's a satellite, it's the first Earth observation satellite for the Turkish government. It's going to be able to image our planet in 3 days. Over to the head of project management at the Turkish Air Force, General Ibrahim Dulgar.
Good morning. This is Brigadier General Ibrahim Dulgar from Turkish Air Force.
Great.
Today we are launching Turkish Air Force's 2nd remote sensing satellite, Göktürk-1. First, I would like to thank all our partners. Turkish Undersecretary for Defense Industries, Telespazio, Thales Alenia Space, Ariane Space, and to all subcontractors for their dedication, support, and hard work. After 7 years working together, we have been a team with all parties in this challenging project. And today, I wish the team to have a good luck with the launch. Success of the launch and satellite will mark our fruitful cooperation. Ariane Space is our partner for a very long time, and this is Turkey's 6th satellite, launched from Kourou. The launch of Göktürk-1 satellite is a major event for both Turkish Armed Forces and our country. Göktürk-1, gathering high-resolution images from all over the world, will be the key element for military and civilian use. We are all waiting eagerly for the celebration of today's launch for a long time. As a final word, I like the quote from the founder of Turkish Republic, great leader Mustafa Kemal Atatürk. The future is in the skies. Thank you.
Oh. That was not what I expected, in all honesty. I didn't expect something like that, and in a good way now. I expected something a lot more dark.
General Ibrahim Dulgar there, giving us the lowdown on Göktürk-1. Now, the Guyana Space Centre is actually a pretty big place. It covers an area of 750 square kilometres. That's about the size of the Caribbean island of Martinique, if you're familiar with that.
No, I'm not.
Excuse me. We call it the range. That includes the launch base here, all the facilities, and also the downrange tracking stations which are dotted along the flight path. We do have a number of control centres here at the range. This is the Mission Control Centre. There's only one Mission Control Centre, and this is called Jupiter. And all these folk behind me are sitting in what we call the fishbowl. The fishbowl is this area here behind the glass. The operational teams, each one with their own desk, cool, calm and collected at this point before launch. People have been working for 7 weeks to prepare for today.
And we're going to see some launch campaign. New transitions.
This campaign began on October the 17th with the transfer of PAT from BIP to ZLV.
Okay. That's something...
Göktürk has been mated on its adapter on November the 27th and has then been encapsulated under the fairing on November the 28th. The payload composite has been transferred in ZLV from EPCU on November the 22nd and fixed on the launcher on the 23rd. At this phase, the launcher is fully integrated and is ready to be fueled with the relevant propellants. The fueling operation started from November 25th and finished 4 days later. At D-2, we performed the last operation before the final countdown. Each stage is armed with a pyro initiator. After the arming, quality team has performed all the final inspections to validate the nominal configuration of the launcher before the launch. At D-1, the launch readiness review has given the go-ahead for the operation of the chronology.
Jean-Marc Durand has participated in the Göktürk-1 preparation from arrival in French Guiana to the mating on the launcher. He describes the specific satellite transport operations.
The first one is from the airport of Félix-Éboué up to the preparation facility in the Space Center. The satellite is unloaded from the Antonov, only plane able to transport big containers, and then it is loaded onto a trailer thanks to a powerful crane at the airport. The second transport is from the preparation facility up to the filling facility. The satellite is transported vertically in a dedicated container called payload container. The transportation takes place at night to avoid the heating due to the sun. Once filled with propellant, the satellite is encapsulated by the fairing, which protects it from the outside environment. And this is in the fairing that the spacecraft will be transferred on top of the launch vehicle. As the transportation occurs during the daytime, we connect air conditioning. We could have said that this is the last satellite transportation of the campaign.
But it isn't.
But of course, it's
the
not,
rollout.
Because the main one is a flight from the launch pad up to
yeah,
space.
that too. The rollout is also pretty major, though.
So there you have it. We are now 9 minutes and 18 seconds to launch. Göktürk-1 on the pad inside the fairing. That's at the top of the launcher there, waiting there inside.
Is she okay?
That pointy section is called the fairing. This is one of those teams we were talking about in the Mission Control Center. This is the Flight Directorate. And they take all the final decisions in the event of any unplanned situations. And teams here looking at those big screens. These are the screens that everyone can see in the Jupiter Mission Control Center.
MCC. Is it an abbreviation of Mission Control Center?
It'll take Vega just under an hour to deliver Göktürk-1, and there will be various different events during the flight.
Today, the aim of this launch, VVO8, is to place Göktürk-1 into a sun-synchronous orbit. So the flight will be tracked by 4 ground tracking stations: Galileo in French Guiana, Bermuda, Saint-Hubert in Canada, and finally New Inertia in Australia, which allows to follow the spacecraft separation. The first part of the flight will be ensured by the 3 solid propellant stages, P-80, Zefiro-10TC, and Zefiro-9. The fairing separation will occur 4 minutes after liftoff during the Zefiro-9 flight. Once the Zefiro-9 separated, the Avum will be ignited during 380 seconds to place the launcher into a SSO transfer orbit. Then, after a ballistic phase of 40 minutes, a second Avum boost of 100 seconds will place the launcher into the spacecraft targeted orbit with an inclination of 98.1 degrees. Finally, Göktürk-1 will be separated 57 minutes after liftoff at an altitude close to 690 kilometers. Then the launcher will be desorbited with the third Avum boost 49 minutes after the spacecraft separation, and the mission will end with the last stage passivation before it's falling down into the Indian Ocean.
Passivation just means emptying of the fuel tank.
So there we have it. That's what's going to be happening over the next hour or so after launch. But right now we are getting closer to the liftoff time, our countdown, on the top right-hand side there of your screen. Today is not the first time that Arianespace will have launched a satellite for Turkey.
Yeah, that was
They've already orbited 5 other spacecraft for them. They were the Turksat series. Those are telecommunications satellites.
So they launched
and they were
Ariane,
launched between
not
1994 and 2008.
Indeed.
Back to today, though, and Göktürk-1 is on the pad, patiently waiting to start its journey in 6 minutes, just over 6 minutes. Let's hear more details now about Göktürk-1. Here's someone who knows it well, the project manager.
Today is the launch of VV08 Vega mission, which objective is to bring into SSO orbit Göktürk-1 spacecraft, the first Turkish governmental satellite dedicated to Earth observation. The launch compatibility demonstration and the preparation for launch have been initiated mid-2013 with the signature of a launch service agreement between Telespazio and Arianespace in the framework of a Telespazio turnkey contract with SSM final customer, the Undersecretariat for Defense Industries of Turkey. Göktürk-1 satellite is a 1,600 kilo spacecraft based on the Proteus platform. It has been manufactured in Cannes by Thales Alenia Space and then tested in Ankara in the new TAI facilities before completion for shipment to French Guiana end of October. Today, Göktürk satellite will be separated after a Vega flight of about 1 hour, including 2 boosts of the Avon 4 stage. As a conclusion, I believe it is important to highlight that our customers and Arianespace teams have been working closely during 3.5 years to achieve Göktürk-1's flight readiness for this 8th Vega launch. We thank you for this strong, fruitful and interesting cooperation, and we wish the best to the Göktürk-1 spacecraft as well as your teams for the following steps.
It wouldn't look good if you just had a spacecraft just bye-bye.
So a lot of people working very hard to prepare us all for today.
You sound very tired.
Lift-off schedule in 4 minutes and 20. This is the mission director, Jean-Marc Durand.
À tous de DDO, attention pour la séquence finale lanceur.
And this is the range operations manager, Damien Simon.
Sorry, I have to pause for a second.
These boards for everybody to...
Okay.
All eyes on these at this point before launch, showing us the status of 3 main systems, the rocket and the pad, the satellites, and the range. Remember, we said the range includes the spaceport here and all the tracking stations which are along the flight path and sending their telemetry measurements. Remember, I said that we have a number of control centres here at the base. We've been focusing on mission control, but now this is the launch control centre for Vega, CDLV, le Centre de Lancement Vega. It's about 3 kilometres from the pad, and these people are responsible for everything to do with the launcher and the pad. One of those teams responsible for operations on the ground, coordinating with mission control for final authorization to launch, with their quality team ensuring they follow procedures correctly. The other team's responsible for the flight readiness of the vehicle, and they oversee the operations from assembly of the launcher to the moment of launch. They also have a quality team ensuring that everybody adheres to those procedures. And they're so close to the pad that they're actually protected inside a blockhouse. It's called the bunker.
Well, it's nicknamed the bunker, I would say. Or maybe
Getting closer, 1 minute and 45 seconds to launch. Vega standing tall there on its dedicated pad. Göktürk-1 waiting patiently inside the top of the launcher in the fairing. As we go through the final seconds in the countdown now, coming to 1 minute.
Attention pour H0 moins 1 minute. Top, H0 moins 1 minute.
We are 1 minute to launch. Our best wishes to all the teams, to all the Göktürk-1 teams and everybody in Ankara, to the industrial consortium led by Telespazio and Thales Alenia Space, to the teams on the ground waiting to take over the satellite, and indeed to everybody involved in any way, shape or form in getting ready for today. Best wishes, everybody. Let's sit back and watch the launch.
À tous de DDO, attention pour le décompte final. 10, 9, 8, 7,
Right, we're about to lift off.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, unité. Top, allumage P80,
Lift off
décollage.
of Vega. There you go, you can see the first solid stage burning like yeah, it's gone like a bat out of hell. So clear cut.
Les paramètres à bord sont normaux.
There we go.
And they're off.
Launch goes
Vega blazing a trail over the sky here.
Pour la station de Saint-Jean.
He's just said we picked up the signal at the tracking station in Saint-Jean, which is here in French Guiana in the north. We're also tracking it with the Galileo tracking station.
Okay, so there's Galileo's.
Everything's normal on board, he says.
Left out.
Göktürk-1 is on its way.
That's lovely.
Heading out north towards the Caribbean. We broke the sound barrier after only 30 seconds.
Because these
That's
things
when we
are fairly
achieved
bloody
Mach 1.
fast. Yep, currently moving at 1 kilometer per second.
The job of the first 3 stages is what we call the propulsion
Les
phase,
paramètres à bord sont normaux. La trajectoire est nominale.
Which means there's
to
power.
get us away from
Literally.
the gravity of our planet, which is making us all stick to Earth. It also makes it difficult to leave, so we do need a lot of firepower to do that. Look
There
at
you can see
that.
the trail. I'm curious about stage separation, whether we'll be able to see that. You can see it's dimming, but I'm not sure if that's because of
We're burning the P80.
burnout. Yep, SEP. Oh wow, look at that.
Séparation P80.
You can see that.
We can see it separating there.
You can see
Fantastic
the
images,
smoke trail
clear
getting
skies here
blown
today.
away. I think you can see the first
And
stage
we
just
are
falling away
switching
there.
on the next
Yeah, you can
engine
see
on
it
the next
just
stage.
there.
That's called the
Just see it
Z23.
there just for
That's
a few
going to burn
seconds.
for about 1 minute and 40 seconds. Z for Zefiro. Zefiro's an Italian type of wind, a bit like the Sirocco or the Mistral.
No clue what you just said
And
at
we are
all.
flying like the wind now at a speed of 2 minutes and 81 kilometers per second.
81.
Getting faster all the time.
I'm sorry.
Altitude on the bottom left of your screen. 83, 85 kilometers high and climbing. And on the in the middle of the screen at the bottom there is the distance from the pad if you were to draw a straight line across the planet.
UI. UI.
Coming up now to the Kármán line. That's 100 kilometers above
Yep,
sea
now,
level,
so
often
technically
thought
in
of
space.
as the border without a space.
Yep, technically the vehicle's in space.
Basically, the
now.
higher you go, the thinner the atmosphere becomes,
And the less drag.
the faster an aeroplane has to fly to travel. Has to travel in order to stay up.
Yeah, that's what you said first was
You have
perfect.
to be flying
Les
basically at a
paramètres pour
mind-boggling
de pilotage à bord sont normaux.
29,000 kilometers an hour to stay up.
You'll have to fly at orbital
So
velocity.
around
for the
about
wings
this
to generate that
altitude,
lift.
the atmosphere becomes so thin that the air can no longer support vehicles with wings.
But it
It's
can,
the-
except you need to be
Where
moving at orbital
aeronautics
velocity.
ends and astronautics begins.
And stage SEP.
Séparation Z23.
And Z-diet ignition. And Ariane's boss having problems again.
We're switching on the engine on the next stage
there
now.
You go.
There's a 7-second delay between one being jettisoned and the other being switched on.
Allumage, troisième étage, Zéphyron 9.
And
we've switched on the third stage, the Z9. And the fairing has also been jettisoned. We don't need it anymore.
Yes, it just means
the atmosphere's thin, there's no longer much friction. And we can see Göktürk-1 for the first time. There it is, the gold structure at the front, with those square solar panels.
I think this actually uses live telemetry data.
The tube is what remains of Vega.
Yeah,
it's a small and competitive launcher and now fully qualified
for commercial
operation.
Although it's only really usable for
Here we are in Kourou again, less than 3 months after the last successful Vega launch. And we have a new mission dedicated to an important export customer of Arianespace. As you can see, Vega exploitation is ramping up. This is the 8th launch since the maiden flight in 2012, and Vega has now fully entered the commercial phase. After the first 7 successful launches, covering a wide range of different kinds of missions, Vega has already established itself as a pillar of the European space industry, with its versatility, accuracy, and reliability. This is the clear example of the great success that Europe can achieve when a strong partnership is put in place between key players of the space industry, such as Arianespace, Avio Group Industries, and the European Space Agency.
ESA.
Access in space has now become easier with Vega, and Earth observation customers in particular can now rely on Vega as a smart, reliable, and affordable workhorse. We have now many customers to serve, many challenging missions to accomplish, and meanwhile, we look at the future, eager to implement all the possible improvements that can make Vega launch services always better. To this aim, Vega C, a new, more powerful version of Vega, is under development, and Arianespace looks forward to its introduction in 2019 in order to provide an even better service to our customers. Now, finally, I would like to say thank you to our today customer for trusting Vega and Arianespace for their important mission. And let's go back to today's launch.
A lot to look forward to there over the next few years with the upgraded version of an already popular vehicle.
Vega. That's the already popular vehicle.
We have separation, confirmation of separation of the Z9. The third stage has switched its engine off and jettisoned.
So now we're...
So the main propulsion phase of the flight is now over. We've managed to get away from the Earth, and we're about to start now the next phase of the flight. That's to take the satellite basically to its drop-off position, its drop-off point in space. That's the job of the upper stage. We call it the AVUM, or AVUM, pronounced in French.
Okay, there's that
Getting ready to switch on its engine.
That's not that guy. That's the guy from
Our
Turkey.
flight path takes us due north, heading up over the Caribbean, along the east coast of the United States and Canada, and then north over Newfoundland and Labrador to the west of Greenland. And there we've picked up the signal at the Bermuda tracking station, so we're over the North Caribbean right now. We're going to then come back over the other side, cross the Arctic, come back down over Siberia, and start heading south again over Japan, the Philippines, and Indonesia. And that finally down to the west coast of Australia, which is where we will start separating our satellite.
Yep.
So Bermuda's the third station to pick up Vega. The previous ones were Galileo and Saint-Jean-du-Maroni, which is in the north of French Guiana. And we're using telemetry to track the vehicle. Basically, during the flight, Vega sends information to the ground stations along its path. Big dishes, listening out for it as it flies over. So the upper stage has switched its engine on. It burns for about 6.5 minutes. And this is the first of 2 burns. So we have now started the next phase of our journey. Avum, or Avum, has taken the wheel. Its job is to deliver Göktürk-1 to a very precise position in space, just under 700 kilometers above our planet.
Yay!
It's started what we call optimized guidance attitude. Once Avum switches its engine on, it continually recalculates its position to make sure it's always on the right course.
La propulsion est nominale.
Thales Spazio is the prime contractor for Göktürk-1 along with their partner Thales Alenia Space, who built it under the umbrella of the Italian and French companies' strategic partnership. They call it the Space Alliance. Göktürk-1 is innovative.
It's an alliance in space.
It's been manufactured by Thales Alenia Space along with their Turkish partners using their Proteus platform, as we've heard, with a ground segment in Turkey, along with an assembly, integration and test center in Ankara. Let's hear from the two CEOs of the Space Alliance, Jean-Louis Gall of Thales Alenia Space, and first Luigi Pasquali.
Thales Spazio, Leonardo and Thales.
Les paramètres à bord sont conformes à l'attendu.
We are very proud to be here for the launch of Göktürk-1. That is a very important milestone for Thales Spazio. Göktürk-1 is a very powerful system, letting the end user to have a remarkable capability in terms of quantity and quality of the images. The development of the system and of the ground segment was based on the experience Thales Spazio gained the domestic Cosmos Skymet satellite constellation, which is for us a reference in the Earth observation systems. The system has been developed together with Thales Alenia Space in the frame of the Space Alliance between Leonardo and Thales. The complementary capabilities of Thales Alenia Space and satellite system and Thales Spazio in the services associated with them provides the Space Alliance all the assets needed to respond positively and effectively to the needs of the market, which today are increasingly focused on applications related to space technologies. I would like to take this opportunity to thank SSM and Turkish Air Force for the spirit of the stream cooperations they have expressed in this project, as well as the industrial team that has delivered its confidence and commitments. Finally, I would like to thank Avio and the Italian Space Agency for the realization of the Vega launcher that is now going to bring Göktürk into orbit. I wish to all of you good luck for a successful mission.
Fingers crossed, mate. Space Alliance.
It is a great honor to share with you this important milestone for the Göktürk program. Göktürk-1 is an outstanding satellite, and we are proud to have built it together with a test center in Ankara. This spacecraft provides the Turkish Ministry of Defense a very high-resolution optical observation system which can be operated as a sovereign object.
That's it.
At this level of performance, that is a world must. And it's a major benefit for our Turkish customer. Moreover, Thales Alenia Space is the first space company to deliver an anti-assembly integration and test center where the satellite underwent its qualification tests with the involvement of Turkish industries such as TAI, Aselsan, TÜBİTAK, and Roketsan. Turkey has now one of the most modern space integration centers in the world. At Thales Alenia Space, we developed this Göktürk system alongside Thales Spazio using our 30 years of experience in building optical and radar Earth observation end-to-end systems for national and European organizations. My warmest thanks to SSM and to the Turkish Air Force for the trust in Thales Alenia Space and Thales Spazio teams and for the unique quality of our partnership. Many thanks and long and successful life to Göktürk.
That's Newfoundland there.
13 minutes, 13 and a half minutes now into our flight, and we had acquisition in the Saint-Hubert tracking station in Canada.
It was probably near, what's-its-face, Quebec.
And the town of Saint-Hubert is just outside Montreal. It's an aerospace industry there is very important, and the Canadian Space Agency has its head office in the borough. The images we're looking at here on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see what we call the upper composite, which is the Voom with Göktürk-1 attached, are CGI images, computer-generated images. Basically, they're showing us what the experts have calculated is happening to the launcher and the satellite. They plan a very precise schedule of events. It's based on extremely accurate predictions. And they put all of that information into the computer, and these images are then a simulation of those predictions. So everything we see here is exactly what's been planned to be happening in space, and right now we can see the Avum switching off its engine.
There you go.
For the first of 2 ballistic phases. Ballistic means without propulsion, so that means that we are travelling high enough and fast enough to cruise without the engine.
I'm going to pause the video here and let's see you guys.
This first ballistic phase is going to last for about 40 minutes.
Yep, so I'm going to pause the video here and I'll see you guys in this ballistic phase.
And you can see there that the Avum upper stage is twisting and turning. It's actually orientating the satellite. We've begun the orientation phase. It's a 34-second phase. The composite is putting itself into the separation orientation, so the correct position to separate the satellite later.
So basically it's rotating now,
Saint-Hubert tracking station
to move, and then fire its engines once
on the east coast there of Canada, Quebec. Not only is Vega the smallest of the Ariane space family of launchers, she's also the youngest. This is her 8th launch today. She's built by the Italian company Avio for the prime contractor ELV.
Vega Avio. Yeah, sure.
This is the 8th launch of Vega, the second of the commercial phase, which started just 2 months ago after the first 6 missions of the development phase. Vega is a European launcher developed by the prime contractor ELV, an Avio subsidiary. Vega is manufactured by Avio at 65% in Italy, and for the rest across Europe by a team of selected and capable partners. Vega has set a record in terms of precision and reliability, with 7 perfect launches in a row from the maiden flight in 2012. Our launcher has demonstrated a unique ability to deploy multiple satellites in multiple orbital planes, with unprecedented orbital maneuvers. I'm speaking to you from our factory in Colleferro, where we produce both Vega and its new version, Vega C. Behind me, you see the all-new mandrel of the P120 solid rocket motor, which will equip both Vega C and Ariane 6. It will be the largest monolithic solid rocket motor in the world.
So this is
we will soon start production of the first carbon fiber motor case of the P120.
Which will make it lighter.
Today, we'll carry Vega into orbit again for 1 new satellite for the Turkish government.
Sounds robotic.
Göktürk-1 weighs about 1,000 kilos and will be placed by Vega in a low Earth orbit at 690 kilometers from the Earth. The Avio team, together with its industrial partners and Arianespace, has once more the chance to demonstrate Vega's flexibility and reliability. I therefore wish the best success to the 8th mission of Vega.
Great, well, that's done.
So there you have it, some very exciting and innovative technologies to be looking forward to over these next few days.
Fin de visibilité normale du lanceur par la station de Saint-Hubert au Canada. Le lanceur est maintenant en phase balistique. La prochaine
live at the for Telespazio and the Turkish government. It's a high-resolution optical Earth observation satellite. It lifted off from the pad 53.5 minutes ago at the Guyana Space Center here on the northeastern tip of South America, traveling on board a Vega launcher. Vega is the light launcher of the Arianespace family, and what you can see there is what remains of it, the AVAM upper stage, the circular disc, with Göktürk-1 attached at the front. And AVAM has switched its engine back on. We've been coasting for about 40 minutes. And we've now switched our engine back on for the second burn. It's going to last about 1 minute and 40 seconds.
La propulsion est nominale.
You can see our range operations manager there, Damien Simon, on the bottom right-hand side of your screen, telling us that everything is going according to plan. And, excuse me, the reason why we switch our engine on now is to circularize our orbit, because thus far we were on an elliptical orbit, and also to get our satellite to the correct position, if you like, in space, to be able to start the process of separating it. During the coast phase, we were rotating as if on a spit. We call it the barbecue phase. What an appropriate name. That's to keep the temperatures nice and even. AVAM stands for Attitude and Vernier Upper Module, or vernier rather. It's the smart stage, if you like, of the launcher, the part. Its job is to deliver the spacecraft to a specific orbit, and it's designed to inject different kinds of payloads to different orbits. Obviously, it carries the lighter orbits. There we have extinction of the AVAM engine. It can switch on and off up to 20 times, and that gives it the ability to transport different kinds of payloads, as I said, to different orbits. And now he's just announced that we've started the orientation phase of Göktürk-1. These CGI images there showing us what's actually been planned is happening in space, twisting and turning, putting Göktürk-1 into its very special required orientation. And we've now finished that orientation maneuver, au profit de Göktürk, which means the Göktürk orientation maneuver. Being tracked by the new Norcia tracking station. It's one of the European Space Agency's deep space tracking stations. It's about 150 kilometres north of Perth in southwestern Australia. They used it for communications with Mars Express, Rosetta, our comet chaser, Venus Express, and Gaia, which is looking at the stars, among other ESA and partner agency missions, of course.
Séparation Göktürk-1A.
Separation there. Göktürk-1A, and we can see it springing out into space, quite literally. We have a set of springs on the upper stage which ping the satellite away or push it away to make sure that nothing collides. It's called collision avoidance. It's all very, very carefully planned. And Göktürk-1's separation mode is stabilized on 3 axes. So Göktürk-1 is now separated from the Vega launcher, and we need to wait and hear from the customer to make sure that all is fine up there in space. We call that acquisition of signal. Talking to each other there, but I can't hear what they're saying. Like any satellite and spacecraft, once it's separated, Göktürk-1 starts what's called the launch and early operations phase, and now the teams on the ground in the control centres have taken on the job. These are the teams in the Mission Control Centre. We call it Jupiter. And